everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be presenting 5 amazing Western actors you must see. Now, all of the guys in this list have really wonderful filmographies. They are just stellar actors. But when it comes to Westerns, these guys seem to excel. Now, obviously, it would be impossible to go through all of their Western outings, but what I will do is highlight some of the amazing Westerns in their catalogue. Now, these Western actors haven't been presented in any particular order. This is just open to personal choice, but these 5 guys just ride tall in the saddle. If these actors in this list ever headlined a Western, they were a must-see. So join me now as I count down 5 amazing Western actors you must see. So let's kick things off with number 5, and it's Gary Cooper, the silver screen legend. Cooper had a strong screen presence and an understated acting style. In many ways, he was the strong and silent type, just like Clint Eastwood. And it's funny that I mention that, as Gary Cooper is one of Clint Eastwood's favourite actors. Cooper just starred in numerous Westerns of high quality. We can take it right back to 1936 and The Plainsman, which was an epic Cecil B. DeMille film. Cooper played Wild Bill Hickok, and it's just a tremendous watch. He starred in other classics like The Westerner from 1940, where he played a cowboy who was accused of stealing horses. And Cooper starred in one of the most celebrated Westerns of all time, High Noon, which came out in 1952. It co-starred Grace Kelly. High Noon was nominated for 7 Oscars. It won 4, and it was directed by Fred Zimmerman. And Cooper actually won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his portrayal in that film. And what a Western it was. It was in black and white. It was shot almost in real time, and it is just a fascinating character study. This was a movie that the critics and the public embraced. And a little bit of trivia is John Wayne didn't particularly like the movie. He didn't like what it stood for. But that's another story altogether. Let's not take away from the elegance of High Noon. It really is a treasure of a film. And Gary Cooper really is at the top of his game. At this point, he was a seasoned actor, and he is just playing this role to the hilt. And another cool Cooper movie is Springfield Rifle from 1952, where he plays an agent of sorts during the Civil War who is trying to discover who was involved in the theft of some Union cavalry horses. Then, of course, we had Vera Cruz from 1954, where he played an experienced Civil War vet, and he was teaming up with Burt Lancaster. That was a great adventure Western. One of his final Westerns was Man of the West from 1958. This was directed by Anthony Mann, and Cooper played an aging outlaw who gets involved in a botched robbery and is trying to actually survive. So that's an interesting one as well. And there's titles in his filmography like The Hanging Tree from 1959, which was a Western drama directed by Delmer Daves. And playing opposite Cooper was Carl Malden. And that's a very interesting film where Cooper is playing a doctor, but he's also an outlaw. There's just some fascinating aspects to that one. So Cooper's legacy lives on. He is just classic Americana, and he needs to be seen in Western duds and experienced. He's a very naturalistic actor. Sadly, Cooper died at a young age. He was only 60. And when it came to those portrayals, just like in High Noon, many people will have you believe that Cooper was the personification of an American hero. 4 on my list is Gregory Peck. He is one of the most popular movie stars of all time. During the 50s, 60s and 70s, his output was second to none, really. I mean, he starred in classics like To Kill a Mockingbird. He was also in Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn. But when it came to his Western outings, he just totally knocked it out of the park. He fit into that genre so well and gave some really gritty, authentic performances. Some of Peck's Western highlights include Jewel in the Sun from 1946, directed by King Vidor, co-starring Jennifer Jones. This is a romantic Western full of heated passion. It really needs to be experienced. Peck excels. And another great one is Yellow Sky. This 1948 black and white Western, directed by William Wellman, has a wonderful cast. It co-stars Anne Baxter. It has a really menacing performance from Richard Widmark. And it's about some bandits who are hiding out in a ghost town. It's wonderfully intense. It is claustrophobic at times, extremely atmospheric, and it just looks great in black and white. Another one of Peck's most celebrated Western roles is that of the gunfighter in 1950, and this is just a wonderful Western full of strong themes. Peck plays an aging gunfighter with a big reputation, and he's going to find his long-lost love and reconnect with her and his son. But his past is following him, and unfortunately, he did not go looking for trouble, but trouble finds him. And Peck is a guy that is trying to step away from the reputation, but he keeps getting pulled back in. The Gunfighter is directed wonderfully by Henry King. It really is full of atmosphere and grit. The look, the feel, it really is a Western full of strong characterizations. The black and white photography is fantastic, and it's a movie that just has to be seen. It is full of great performances, and it's easily one of Peck's finest roles. Another great Peck Western to watch is The Bravados from 1958. Peck plays a guy who's trying to track down 4 men that were responsible for the death of his wife. It co-stars Joan Collins and Stephen Boyd. It's a tremendously gritty film. It'll have you on the edge of your seat, and it features a wonderful Peck performance. Another big Peck Western is The Big Country from 1958. This has an all-star cast. Accompanying Peck is Gene Simmons, Charlton Heston, Chuck Connors, even Burl Ives knocks it out of the park. And this film focuses on a feud between 2 families over a valuable patch of land. It is a long film. It's over 2.5 hours, but with a cast like this and Peck at the epicenter, it's just worth experiencing. And he was also part of the ensemble in How the West Was Won in 1962, that sprawling John Ford Western. I could literally talk all day about Peck's Westerns. I mean, he was in films such as McKenna's Gold. He did Stalking Moon, was another great thriller of a Western. And even towards the end of his career, Peck appeared in Old Gringo, which was a Western in 1989. It was a bit of a romantic adventure, and it co-starred Jane Fonda and Jimmy Smits. So he just kept going and going. Westerns were really in his blood, and it was a genre that Peck really felt at ease with. So Peck's Western legacy is just as important as the rest of his filmography. He was just a great actor, and you would have to call Peck a master of his craft. Number 3 on my list is James Stewart. He is just a master thespian, If you take a look at Jimmy Stewart's filmography, you will just be amazed at the caliber of films he has in that catalogue, and his performances speak for themselves. Jimmy has a distinct voice and just a wonderful on-screen presence. The camera loves him, and he's very naturalistic at times. And when it came to westerns, he just blended into that scenery almost effortlessly. And he starred in some of the landmark westerns of our time. And what sets Jimmy on a different level in some ways to other western stars is he can also play it with that air of comedy. And one of the best examples of this is Destry Rides Again from 1939. It's a marvellous film co-starring Marlene Dietrich, and I tell you what, he plays a town tamer like no other. It'll make you laugh. Jimmy is so cool in it, and it's just a must-see. And a lot of his films were a pairing of Jimmy and director Anthony Mann, and when those two got together, you knew you had a film. And we're talking about movies such as Winchester 73, which is an amazing western from 1950, where Jimmy Stewart is out to catch some guys who are responsible for stealing his unique rifle. It's a great movie. Broken Arrow from 1950 is another fascinating Jimmy Western. It co-stars Jeff Chandler as Cochise. It is a Western you must see to try and understand some of the historical aspects of the Old West. And two really cool westerns that pair Jimmy Stewart with director Anthony Mann are Bend of the River from 1952 and The Man from Laramie from 1955. These two films co-star Arthur Kennedy, and Jimmy Stewart is tremendous in these films. These are two classic westerns that are well worth your time. They feature wonderful Stewart performances, and the cast surrounding him in both films is just on fire. Another great western in Jimmy Stewart's catalogue is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance from 1962. Jimmy plays alongside John Wayne. We also have great support by Lee Van Cleef, Woody Strode. The list goes on. It is just an immaculate western, a story that is beautifully told, wonderful to watch, and always entertaining. Jimmy Stewart was also part of John Ford's epic sprawling western How the West Was Won in 1962, and towards the end of his career he got together once again with John Wayne, and he co-starred opposite him in The Shootist, which was Wayne's last film in 1976, and Stewart once again added an earthiness to that film, a great performance, and it really showed no matter how much time moved along, Stewart was always at the top of his game. So James Stewart is one of those actors that just needs to be experienced in a western. He's so great in them, and I think he's one of the best cowboy actors of all time. Number 2 on my list is one of the all-time great American tough guy actors, Clint Eastwood. Who else? This guy is just the personification of a Western leading man. He's done many Westerns, and he really in some ways redefined the genre. What really set the stage for Clint was those 1960s spaghetti Westerns that he did with director Sergio Leone. All three of those films were fantastic. The first one in 1964, A Fistful of Dollars, really did, as I say, redefine the genre. I mean, it really just knocked everything on its side and set it alight. This was a Western character like no other. We'd never seen anybody like this before in a Western, and Clint played it so well. He was the strong, silent type. He was great with the one-liners, fast with the draw, and him and Leone really reshaped the West. And then, of course, the second film came out in 1965 for a few dollars more, which co-starred Lee Van Cleef. That really upped the ante on A Fistful of Dollars. I mean, it really took things further. It was even more epic. It was even more stylish. Eastwood's character was even craftier. And Van Cleef really kept Clint on his toes. And of course, we have the third film from 1966, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, starring Clint with Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef once again. That film is just a sprawling epic set to the backdrop of the Civil War. Eli Wallach is amazing in that film. Lee Van Cleef is just terrifying, and Clint is just effortlessly cool. Has there ever been a cooler cowboy than Clint as the man with no name? You'd be hard-pressed to find one. But Clint and that character really redefined the genre. In fact, there is other actors on this list that are even better performers than Clint, but they wouldn't be able to bring that Clint Eastwood magic that only he does when he plays a character like the man with no name. And after those Leone films, Clint got involved in a smallish western called Hang 'em High in 1968, co-starring Inga Stevens and Pat Hingle. And that was just a great little revenge tale. So I urge you to check out Hang 'em High as well. And there's also the eclectic little western Paint Your Wagon, where Clint actually sings and he stars opposite Lee Marvin. Fans seem to enjoy that one as well. But let's just jump back for a moment. Before The Man with No Name, Clint had starred in Rawhide from the late 50s right through to the mid-60s, and that was a great TV series. From time to time, I'll throw on an episode of Rawhide. Clint played the character of Rowdy Yates opposite Eric Fleming. Clint looked so young in them, but he was so cool, so engaging, and they're always compelling little stories. And really, if it wasn't for Rawhide and then later Clint getting together with Leone, he wouldn't have become that Western icon that we know. So Rawhide was a great breeding ground. Leone was the icing on the cake, and then Clint himself became a wonderful filmmaker and continued to push the envelope and make some wonderful Westerns himself that really had the public on the edge of their seats. He directed the wonderful Outlaw Josie Wales in 1976, a film that Clint still says to this day is his favourite film in his own catalogue. That's really saying something. It co-starred Sondra Locke, who at the time was in a relationship with Clint, and that movie, as I said, just is epic in scope. It has that Indian subplot, and it really is just one of those westerns that is engaging and needs to be experienced. And also Clint directed and starred in those favourites, High Plains Drifter from 1973, which was a nasty little revenge western, but a lot of people enjoy that one. And also he did The Mysterious Pale Rider in 1985, which was a fascinating take on Shane. And Pale Rider is one of those westerns that just has some magnificent little set pieces in it and some great action moments. And Clint just plays the role perfectly. And just when we thought Clint had done it all, he comes out with Unforgiven in 1992, and then he wins the Oscar for Best Director for that film. It also won Best Picture. Gene Hackman picked up Best Supporting Actor for Unforgiven. And Eastwood was at the top of his game there, both as a filmmaker and an actor. He was Oscar nominated for Best Actor for Unforgiven. And that is a very complicated Western. When I say that, it has these complex characters. It draws you in. It's a murky world. and it's a dark western full of substance. It has a remarkable script, and I think one of the fascinating aspects of Unforgiven is that it took chances and went to places that shocked some viewers. So it's a psychological western with some great performances. Richard Harris is also amazing. So yeah, when Clint reached that point of winning those Oscars for Unforgiven, it really was a high watermark. So Clint Eastwood, an absolute legend who with Leone redefined a genre. But Eastwood's performances are just so engaging, so exciting, and at times very funny. So he's just a compelling guy, and he really is one of the great American icons. Well, we've made it to number one, and we have John Wayne, the guy they nicknamed Duke, and his reputation speaks for itself. Wayne was just an icon of the Western genre. Those films were just unforgettable. He starred in some early black and white ones, even a few silent westerns. But as the years went on, the budgets got bigger and bigger. Wayne was the ringleader. He surrounded himself with great, talented performers. And Wayne would often choose to collaborate with filmmakers that were at the top of their game. Now, Wayne appeared in countless black and white westerns in those early years, and the Raoul Walsh film, The Big Trail in 1930, is considered a turning point in Wayne's career, and that was his first starring role. And The Big Trail was this epic movie. So The Big Trail is really an important film in the evolution of Wayne, and after that it took Wayne another 9 years of starring in westerns till he really hit it big with Stagecoach. This is landmark filmmaking, and it really reshaped the direction of westerns. Stagecoach was directed by John Ford. It co-starred Claire Trevor, Andy Devine, John Carradine. John Wayne was elevated to leading man status. This is the one where he really started to get that persona marinating. And really, when it comes to westerns, his legacy lives on. Movies such as Fort Apache, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. It goes on and on. And of course, who can forget the epic Red River from 1948, where they actually aged Wayne for his role, and Monty Clift was also in that. And we also had movies such as The Searchers in 1956, which co-starred Natalie Wood and Jeffrey Hunter. That was a sprawling epic like no other. And then, of course, Rio Bravo from 1959, co-starring Dean Martin, Walter Brennan, and Ricky Nelson. What a favourite that is. Director Quentin Tarantino actually hails that as one of his favourite films of all time. It sometimes changes with The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. It'll be Rio Bravo one day, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly another day. But that is just another great Western. And then there's movies like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance from 1962, co-starring Jimmy Stewart, Lee Marvin. That's a great Western. And we got that cluster of fan favourites in the 60s there, like North to Alaska, which was a film with a great Frankie Lane title song, and it co-starred Fabian, the singer, alongside Wayne. And of course, McClintock was another crowd pleaser, co-starring Maureen O'Hara. And some people said Wayne just played John Wayne on the screen and it was the same performance every time. But when it came to True Grit in 1969, Wayne put on an eye patch to play the drunken Rooster Cogburn, and he dug deep And in many ways, he brought to the screen a performance that was a little bit of a startling revelation. This was a John Wayne really that we hadn't seen before. There was different elements to this performance. There was a grittiness, there was a weathered texture. This was a Wayne like no other. And for that performance, Wayne was finally warmly embraced for his acting by the critics. He was awarded the Best Actor Academy Award, and many great westerns followed. And in the 1970s, it was made public knowledge that Wayne was battling cancer, and he released a film in 1976 called The Shootist, co-starring James Stewart and Ron Howard. It's a really wonderfully acted western. In some ways, it just has a somber tone and a sadness to it. As we know, the Wayne we see on the screen is very much the Wayne that was off screen. Both characters are battling a terrible illness, but it was just a testament to Wayne's determination to keep up the demand by the public. They wanted to see him in more things, and Wayne just gave them another one. And The Shootist remains his last film. It's one that has to be seen, and Wayne is great in it. So yes, John Wayne sadly passed away in 1979, but what a legacy he left behind. When it comes to Western actors, Wayne is really the first actor that appears in our minds. He is like the granddaddy of Western stars. And will there ever be another John Wayne? Definitely not. He was just totally distinguishable by those performances. He had that great voice. He had a real tough guy persona. He had a commanding screen presence, and audiences just loved him. Many people looked up to him. And John Wayne is just an icon in the entertainment industry. But when it comes to Westerns and the history of Western movies, he is just up there. He rides tall in the saddle. Almost nobody can compete with Wayne. He did so many from those early silent films right through. He has such a scope and a grandeur to his catalogue that really is hard to beat. So John Wayne is a guy that you have to experience. If you're going to watch a Western, choose a quality Wayne Western, and you will be in the presence of one of the all-time greats. So yes, John Wayne was a titan when it came to Westerns, and his legacy will live on and on. So thanks for joining me. That was really fun, reflecting on those 5 amazing Western actors that you must see. And sometime down the track, I will return with another 5 amazing Western actors you must see. So please keep a lookout for that sometime in the future. But until then, share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me your favourite Western stars of all time. There are just so many great ones that don't even appear on this list. I only had time to talk about 5. But please share your 5 favourites in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going. And if you're looking for more Western commentary, I do have another countdown video that focuses on 5 amazing Westerns you must see. And I also have another one on 5 amazing Billy the Kid Westerns you must see. So the Western genre is a favourite of mine, and you'll always find me back on here talking about Westerns at some point. So yes, that just about does it for today. Take care, and I'll see you all again very soon.